Hello, my name is Russell Myers. Welcome to And Unity for All. In recent years, people have been talking about a rise in autism. Yes, there has been a rise in autism in recent years. But the people that are pushing this idea and publicizing it, they're not looking at what is behind this rise. They're looking for blame, because, it's about vaccinations, chemtrails, GMOs, high fructose corn syrup, whatever. That's not the reason for the rise. There are a number of reasons for the rise, but they're not going to look at it objectively or scientifically. So let's take a look at this more realistically. First of all, autism is not a single condition. It is an umbrella term. It covers a number of different conditions with known or suspected correlations. The actual name for autism is autism spectrum disorder. And if you want to know everything that is covered under that umbrella, I'll let you look it up. I'm not doing it here. All right, so the diagnosis of autism is completely subjective. Two different therapists can examine the same person and come to completely different conclusions. So the criteria is not clear. It's very arbitrary. There are no lab tests that will confirm it, no brain imaging studies which will confirm it. It is all up to the therapist and whatever their pre-existing bias is. If you're talking to a doctor that is a specialist with autism, then your chances are probably 50 times higher that they're going to find it because they're looking for it to be there. Next thing to consider is the fact that, autism has been here, and it is a real diagnosis, but unless it is affecting someone's ability to function in everyday life, crippling them in some way, there's no benefit to having this diagnosis. Look at how these diagnoses are being established and compare it to years ago. Years ago, lots of people would have been diagnosed as autistic if the same criteria then existed as it does now, myself included. They would have considered me on the autism spectrum, and I'm sure not going for it now, that it would not help me. There are a lot of drawbacks to this, and I'll get to that. But children today are being studied and tested and observed and questioned. They're put under a microscope to find any perceived flaws. And it is. Everything is a disorder now. Every human being walking the planet has, under psychiatric criteria, has some kind of disorder. You're OCD, you're ADD, you're autistic, you got social anxiety, anger management. It just goes on and on. Nobody. It is not possible for anyone now to not have some kind of disorder. Anyway, keep on coming up with these diagnoses, and I'll get back to that. All right, the labels. The labels can affect people from childhood to adulthood in different ways. You know, children, they push them into special education programs, and you know, in the long run, it narrows their educational choices. Later on, it can reduce their job choices, their choice of higher education. It causes emotional distress, lack of self-esteem, things that can lead to depression, anxiety disorders, social anxiety, alcohol, drug abuse, risky sexual behavior, risk-taking, and suicidal ideation. You know, and with all of that, you wind up with other health problems like high blood pressure, overeating, diabetes, all the things that are related to stress. Let's look at the profit motive. Whenever a diagnosis of autism is established, you also establish a profit motive. You know, first of all, the doctor, the therapist that assigns that diagnosis, they're going to get paid, and they may continue to get paid. Yes, they're going to start offering therapy for years and years. You got the drug companies. If the child winds up on medication to control their autism, then the drug company is making money, and they're making a lot more money than they made off of any vaccine. So, and there has been no study comparing the rate of autism among unvaccinated children versus vaccinated children. There has been no study. And so, and if you did that study, then you would also have to include the rate of infectious disease, preventable infectious disease, in that study. You know, how many died? Anyway, schools make a profit from the diagnosis. The more children that are in a school that have autism, or what are termed learning disabilities, the more that school gets paid. Administrative pay. The teachers don't get paid more. The school gets paid more. You know, and all of that goes to the administrative wing. It doesn't go down to the students or anything. They establish special learning programs, which is really just shoving kids into a corner and isolating them from the general population, and you know, causing all the problems that go with that. All right, none of this involves any vaccinations or chemtrails or anything. This is social engineering. This is social engineering. This is injecting fear into parents that their child may not be perfect by societal standards. And look at societal standards. I mean, Honey Boo Boo and Kim Kardashian and whatever, you know. Oh, these are you know, socially acceptable people. Duck Dynasty. Yeah, parents are recruited to enforce the diagnosis passed down from on high. You know, they're supposed to watch their children, report any aberration any stepping out of line, correct any missteps, impress the idea on their children that they love their children and accept their children in spite of their flaws. For real. And then force medication on their children. So the parents are following the dictates and the mandates of a government that they deem untrusted and responsible for the problems, because you're following government guidelines when you do this. And then they're pushing drugs on their children, making that massive profits for the drug companies that, they blame for the problem. So the problem isn't the vaccines, the problem isn't chemtrails, it's not GMOs. The problem is the parents. The parents that want their children to fit in, to be perfect, that can't accept that not every student wants to be a cheerleader and the center of attention and an actor and all this kind of stuff. Though the parents are the problem. They're promoting the propaganda. And just accept your child for who they are. And autism is a real diagnosis, like I said. But if it's not interfering with a child's actual functioning in everyday life, it's not a problem. I had a college professor in child psychology that had a favorite saying, and and I remembered his saying for over 25 years now. So his saying was quite appropriate here. Is there a problem? And whose problem is it? If it's not the child's problem, then why is it your problem? If they're happy with who they are and they're able to function, then why is it a problem for you? Think about it. Please share this video. Please hit like and subscribe or the article, and I'll talk to you later.